Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You're on to the evening news on My Media Prime. Thanks for joining us for the 6:30 edition of the news live from Studio A at Fengudron Bange in Douala, the economic capital of the country. NOEL Peldrain King is my name. Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Atanganji, has once again called on all those still in the bushes to drop down their arms and be reintegrated into the society. He made this call recently during the inauguration of the renovated office of the divisional officer for Bafut subdivision in the northwest region of the country. The office of the divisional officer was burnt down recently by separatists. Von Quinta has details in the following report.
Those were in difficult areas, some are in the bush, some are hiding left and right. They should come out and live a better life. So that is the message.
Territorial Administration Minister once more calling on separatist fighters to drop their arms, come out from the bushes and live a better life. The call was made yesterday, February 23, 2021, as he inaugurated the renovated office of the divisional officer for Bafut, which was burnt by separatist fighters. The renovation works was done by the Rapid Intervention Battalion as local contractors abandoned the site for fear of the unknown, a move Mr. Athangaji applauded as 2 watchtowers were added to permit security officials identify people distances away. Territorial Administration balls equally presented locally fabricated guns to the press in Bamende, and he says the weapons were seized thanks to information from a citizen he termed patriotic.
This is a patriotic Cameroonian who informed the forces of law and order that there were arms hidden in the bush. And immediately the brigade commander informed the legion commander that there is a discovery. And instructions were given, and the gendarmes went and they have brought the weapons. You see, these are dangerous weapons. So we have to collaborate with the forces of law and order, because the terrorists must lay down their weapons for their own interest, and for the interest of the community.
While urging the population to copy the example of the Cameroonian, who reported weapons he saw in a house at Mile 29 along the road leading to Wum, Mr. Athangaji urged the population to collaborate with law enforcement officers as he holds whenever weapons are dropped, it is indication that calm will return to the community.
An attack in the village of Nyang in Ngwa subdivision has left the local population frightened. Some intruders stormed the village and killed about 5 people, according to reports. The reason for the attack is yet to be established. Those villagers have fled to nearby villages for safety. Security men have been deployed to restore calm in the village. Details with Nora Kakebi.
The local population of Nyangtong 1 in Ngwa subdivision in Dongamantong division of the Northwest region are currently seeking refuge in Sakaka after having fled from their homes following an attack from a group of suspected Fulanis who invaded the village, killing 5 persons and setting houses and markets ablaze. According to local sources in Ngwa, this ugly incident started on Monday and stretched into yesterday when the intruders attacked the locals of Nyang and equally moved to other nearby villages. A local confirmed yesterday that the invaders burnt down some of their houses from Nyang to Ntong Market Square. The locals suggested that these intruders are in a way trying to grab lands by use of force and violence. According to local reports, as of yesterday, 5 persons, including 2 elderly men, had been killed. It is unclear what their motive is, but what is certain is that clashes between the Fulanis and the host communities in the subdivision have been recurrent since the socio-political crisis in the restive regions of the country. The authorities in Ngwa seemed confused with the recent attacks in Nyang village. According to the divisional officer from Ngwa, Mr. Awuru Joseph, due to communication challenges, he is yet to understand what is actually going on. On the other hand, the mayor, Mayong Lawrence, has confirmed the death toll, but he too seems confused with the situation on the ground. Sources say security forces have been dispatched already to restore order in the villages. Meanwhile, locals are convinced that the Fulanis want to seize their lands and turn it into grazing land for their cattle. It should be noted that this attack comes from the villages 4 days after an attack carried out still by Fulanis left an 87-year-old woman dead and her daughter badly injured.
Some survivors of rape have promised to fight against the act and other forms of gender-based violence in the country. They met recently in Kumba during a press conference organized by Rescue Women Cameroon. Some participants shared their sad story, talking against the stigma attached to them. Details in the following report compiled by Tamfu Sidwan Dembia.
These girls and women drawn from different regions of Cameroon, meeting in Kumba, southwest region of Cameroon, have resolved to fight against rape in their communities under the theme, The Power of Our Voices. The conference, organized by Rescue Women Cameroon, focused on ways to put an end to rape perpetrated mostly by men against kids, girls and women in Cameroon.
The women feel like prey and always feel vulnerable, and our men feel like predators. We want to push equality as much as we can.
The Chief Executive Officer of Rescue Women Cameroon, Madame Nakinti Besumbu Noforu, insisted that the fight against rape should be fierce in order for the society to identify rapists for possible punishment, else the ill will continue to prevail.
If we continue to be silent, we are helping our rapists to carry on their activities.
Participants narrated their stories, some of whom did that for the first time after being raped many years ago.
I've never had the opportunity to sit amongst many other people who equally share their experiences.
When I heard others saying their story, I was courageous enough to come out of my shell and tell my story.
On the legal implications of rape, Barrister Marie Abanga, CEO of Hope for the Abused and Battered, told participants that there is no excuse for rape and ignorance of the law is not an excuse, quoting from the Cameroon Penal Code, section 296, which says there is a punishment for rape.
Whoever by force or moral ascendancy compels any person, whether above or below the age of puberty, to have sexual intercourse with him.
Participants expressed happiness after attending the conference and said they will carry the message along in their various communities, ensure that there is enough awareness creation.
So I've learned to develop more empathy and to be able to love and understand people better.
It has done so many good to me, and I would like take it and educate my colleagues.
And I believe SUBA 2021 has not only given us strategies on how to curb it, but has given us strategies on how to live with it.
The CEO of Rescue Women Cameroon believes that the conference comes at a time when most people are being raped, but the stories remain unknown to the public due to stigma.
A lot of survivors are suffering on their own. They do not have people to share their stories with. They are dying in silence, thinking that they are the only ones in that situation. So I tried to create this platform where survivors can come together, share their stories, go through the healing process together, and then come together again to strategize how we are going to fight against rape in our communities.
Participants also agreed to be advocates against rape and other forms of gender-based violence in Cameroon.
Minister of Public Works Emmanuel Nganu Jumesi has reviewed road construction projects in the country. This was during a 3-day meeting from February 22, 2021 to today, February 24, 2021 at the conference hall of the Ministry of Public Works in Yaoundé. The meeting session is aimed at facilitating quality control firms and contractors, identifying constraints of the progress of works in order to consider corrective measures. Audrey Zatsa completes the story.
C'est dans la salle des conférences du ministère des Travaux publics que se tient depuis lundi 22 février une session pour le planning d'exécution des projets chantiers routiers qui doivent être livrés en 2021, notamment les premières sections des autoroutes Yaoundé-Douala, Yaoundé-Nsimalen et Kribi-Lolabé. Cette revue des projets routiers, présidée par le ministre des Travaux publics, Emmanuel Nganu Jumesi, et qui s'est achevée ce jour, a débuté avec première phase le projet de construction de l'autoroute Douala-Yaoundé.
Voici 3 années d'échange de correspondance.
La question des coûts des projets routiers a aussi été abordée. Selon le ministre des Travaux publics, Emmanuel Ngannou-Djoumessi, le bordereau de prix unitaire serait un critère pour réduire ces coûts. Une approche qui voudrait que l'on s'inspire de ce qui se fait dans l'environnement géomorphologique. La production mensuelle des décomptes au cours de cette réunion d'évaluation et d'approbation en présence de toutes les parties était donc l'accent particulier mis sur les aménagements sociaux de base qui tardent à sortir.
4 boys between the ages of 19 and 22 have been using the name and face of legendary Cameroonian footballer and former captain of the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon, Samuel Eto'o, to scam people have been apprehended by law enforcement officers and are currently at the Judicial Police Station, Bonanjo, Douala, after having been presented to the public on Tuesday, February 2021. The 4 were accused of using the face of Eto'o to scam people of their money on social media. They were caught after an investigation led by Commissioner Latte Francis under the instruction of the regional delegate of national security for the Littoral region. Away from that, moral disapproval, avoidance, denigration, and some form of stigmatization faced by visually impaired persons globally, most especially the blind who often need assistance. In the report that follows, Bokengo Kemya-Worthy talks about the set of vulnerable people in our society.
Blindness is the inability to see due to injury, disease, a congenital condition, and more. Around the globe, there exist an estimated 36 million people who are sufferers of this health condition. Too often, blind persons live in isolation born from societal stigmatization and are mostly considered too needy and helpless by people around them. However, this seems not to be the case of some group of blind persons who visited the Bamenda market singing songs of praise. This heartwarming gesture came as a pleasant surprise to most of the market individuals who in turn expressed their gratitude.
The black people, they just come. As they come, they just sing the joyful hymns of praise. They thank God together, always in the rain. They make the back beat, sing in the water. Any man when we sleep, they will get hand off mine. When they don't dance, so I feel the joy of a day. So like that, always, they fight.
When they come, they sing all my day. So we dance them. When they come, but market they will be up. So they really try to bring peace on the market. And make God when you want to
Though one may feel being blind in a world suited for the sighted can be pitiful and overbearing for a blind, this is, however, how some of them feel.
Everything that God does is good. If God has made me blind and given you vision, He just wants to show us that with or without vision, we all can work well together. We just need to have hope and trust God for the best.
It should be borne in mind that though this health condition is said to affect mostly individuals above the ages of 50, as well as those in low middle income countries, everyone is susceptible to become a sufferer, which can be born from accidents, cataracts, and most especially diabetic patients.
Sharing love, breaking stigma, creating awareness, and giving hope are fundamentals to creating a better living habitat for the blind.
You're still watching the 6:30 Prime News on My Major Prime TV live from Douala. The President of the Limbe Court of First Instance, Magistrate Valerie Samandi, has admonished some 39 custom officials or officers to stay clear of corruption and other negative vices in the customs sector in the country. Magistrate Samandi was speaking yesterday while swearing in the 39 custom officers serving with the Southwest Customs Sector. Details with Kumano Rainbow.
Magistrate Valerie Samandi was speaking on Tuesday, February 23rd, as he swore in some 39 custom officers serving with the Southwest Customs Sector. Magistrate Samandi noted that it was no longer news that the customs sector in Cameroon was viewed by the public as one that is corrupt. But he said to the 39 custom officers, if they go on to respect the oath they had taken, they can surely become part of the solution to the negative view that the public has about the sector. He insisted that the oath taken should not just be a formality, but that the officers should make a difference by going on to serve with respect to the law and make their sector a better one. Before the oath taking, the Senior State Counsel for Limbe, Magistrate Mba Azemi Aurelin, stated that according to Article 63 of SEMAC Custom Code, all custom officers posted or appointed to work in any custom sector must take an oath before a competent court of law in order to be able to serve with respect to the law and at the same time be covered by the law of the state. The State Council added that the customs also help the government as a tool to protect consumers and local industries against foreign competition, check against illegal importation of goods such as drugs, smuggling of weapons, and other unlawful goods. They also help to protect the health and agricultural sector by checking against the importation in the country of harmful medications or pesticide. The Registrar-in-Chief, Ludwig Makaka William, and his collaborators went on to present various degrees that were signed in 2020 by the Minister of Finance, Louis Paul Moutaze, transferring some of the officers to come and work in the Southwest Customs Sector. Amongst them were the Brigade Commander of the Active Brigade, Commander Kandem Achille, and Captain Athanasius Idia. After the swearing in, some of the customs officers pledged to work harder as the magistrate and the State Council had advised to make the customs sector a better one.
This ceremony makes us accomplished custom officers, and we would like to thank the Customs Service Sector, we thank the Minister of Finance, the Director General of Customs. We promise to do our job diligently, professionally, and we promise also to be at the service of the state.
The second phase of the day's activities continued at the Regional Customs Sector Office in Bota, with the Chief of Sector presiding over the first quarter coordination meeting of the sector for the 2021 financial year.
We remain in the southwest region of the country, where some 55 youths in Boya have received working equipment to help them scale their entrepreneurial productivity. The items were donated by the United Nations Development Project or Development Fund under the project mitigating the impact of COVID-19. This was during a ceremony chaired by the representative of Southwest Governor Dumbe Matthew Theophile. Clarice Okowe completes the story. We revisit that story from the southwest region or from Boya in a subsequent edition of the newscast. Meantime, let's go out of the country, where Guinea has relaunched Ebola vaccine campaigns after new cases of Ebola virus were recorded in the country. Local government officials have already received jabs of the vaccine, encouraging locals to receive their vaccine so that the virus or the epidemic can be completely eradicated in the country. This and more up ahead in the following report.
Protests in Niger have turned violent, with tires set alight and opposition supporters facing off with police as opposition candidate Muhammad Usman claimed victory in Sunday's presidential election. According to Usman Muhammad, the compilation of results in their possession through representatives in various polling stations gave a 50.3% victory as against 49.70% for the ruling candidate. Though provisional results are still to be confirmed by the Constitutional Court. The former president alleged fraud before the results were declared, and his campaign said there had been theft, ballot box stuffing, and threats against voters without evidence. According to Electoral Commission, voter turnout was pegged at 62.91%.
The vote is supposed to usher in Niger's first transition from one democratically elected leader to another after President Muhammadu Yusufu announced he was stepping down after 2 5-year terms. Niger has been marred by coups since the country's independence from France in 1960. It is currently affected by a spillover of violence from 2 jihadist insurgencies in neighboring Mali and Nigeria. Niger is also one of the world's poorest nations, according to the United Nations Development Rankings for 189 countries. Guinea has relaunched Ebola vaccine campaign in the town of Guehe after a fresh outbreak of the Ebola virus recently that has killed over 5 people. The new cases are the first in Guinea since the 2013-2016 epidemic that killed more than 11,000 people in West Africa. 11,000 vaccine doses are already in Guinea, and the World Health Organization plans to send about 8,000 more. According to the representative of the World Health Organization in Guinea, George Kizebo, the vaccines are primarily intended for the circle of contacts of known cases and also a second circle to ensure that the chain of transmission is interrupted. Local government officials have also received jabs of the vaccine, and Guinea's Health Minister Remy Lama equally called on the population to overcome their vaccine resistance and completely eradicate the epidemic. The body of Italian ambassador to Congo, Luca Attanasio, who died during an attack on Monday alongside bodyguard Congolese driver, arrived Rome yesterday evening. The arrival of the deceased in his home country a day after the attack attributed by Kinshasa to Rwandan Hutu rebels, who also deny any involvement, has raised condemnation from United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who strongly condemned the attack against the World Food Programme Joint Field Mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He insists that the perpetrators must be brought to book. Meantime, Italy's Foreign Minister Luigi Di Maio has called for answers to clarify what happened, the reasons behind the security arrangement used, who was responsible for actions that led to the death of the diplomat on mission. In sports, Cotton Sport of Garoua have defeated their Nigerian opponents after grabbing a group stage ticket from IS Sunodeb in a 2-0 aggregate. Cotton Sport of Garoua beat IS Sunodeb both home and away to have a place in the group stage. This victory gives coach Abubakar Sulemanu and boys an opportunity to hold a better position in the tournament. They have been drawn alongside RS Bekane, JS Kabile, Napsa Stars in Group B. We've come to the end of today's edition of Prime News on My Media Prime. Thanks for being with us. See you tomorrow at 6:30, God willing, for another edition of Prime News on My Media Prime. EWANE Airline NOLINGA produced and news coordinated by Faith TATA Berinyo. My name is Genda Peldrane Blanche King. Thanks for staying with us at 7 p.m. Cameroon time. Prime Hour will be live with Kim Leonard. Enjoy today's edition of Prime Hour. Happy viewing. Good night.